Well, good afternoon, everyone. We're back at Uncle Floyd's house again today. I was needing a free meal and I knew where to come. Floyd's already fed me lunch, so now we're going to lean on Floyd to give us a little bit more of a history lesson. One thing Floyd and I were talking about was how rough things were when he was a kid. Everybody thinks back on the old times and how much fun it was and what sweet days it was, but it was also a wild time too. So anyway, I'm going to turn this over to Floyd and he can tell you in a whole lot more detail than I what it used to be like.
Well, good afternoon, folks. Lee and I were just sitting around here talking about the good old times, and really the good old times when I was around 7, 8 years old wasn't that good. And we lived in Mineral Wells, Texas, and my father was a carpenter. There's 4 carpenters, and my dad kept a little local union going there for years and years and years. There were no jobs in Mineral Wells at that time. So the 5 of them decided they'd go down to Mahia, Texas. This was in 1922, and Mahia was on a big oil boom, and it was under martial law, and they went down there to build shotgun schoolhouse for the kids. Well, it was pretty rough down there. I remember one thing that happened. One evening, a man came by our house and told us about these 3 colored people killing a white school teacher. And they were in jail. Mahia was under martial law. The Texas Rangers were running the town.
And why was that, Floyd? Why were the Rangers in town?
They were there because of the rowdy oil field workers that come in. They just go from one town to the next where the oil booms were and just live the wild life. And
Gotcha.
They were all tough and mean, and there were murders and robberies and everything else just like we have today, although some of them are a little more brutal.
Yeah.
But anyway, these 3 colored men had killed this white school teacher. And a man came by the house about 5 o'clock one afternoon and told my mother, said, get your kids, get them in the house, lock the door, don't unlock it for anybody. If you got a gun, get it and get it loaded. And said, we're going to take those colored people out of jail tonight and we're going to burn them alive. And sure enough, they did. They put 3 cedar posts in the ground, tied those colored people to it, piled wood around them, and burned them alive. So it's pretty rough in those days. I don't know how they got them away from the Texas Rangers, but they probably went to supper or something.
So they busted into jail.
They went into jail
behind the Texas Rangers back and got these 3 guys out.
That's exactly right.
And there was some doubt as to the guilt of these 3 men.
Well,
Isn't that correct?
2 of them were guilty, but one man kept saying that he was not guilty. And when he started burning, he started singing, Lord, I'm coming home.
Wow.
So there's a good possibility that he was not guilty. Another thing that happened at that same time, I went in the post office with my father one afternoon to get the mail, and there's a man with a gun standing over another man laying over the floor. And he would not let anybody get to this man till he died. He had just shot him. And once he died, well, then he walked out. And sometime later, I don't remember how much time was consumed between them, but they had another oil boom at Borger, Texas, and the Rangers killed this fellow that had killed the one in the post office.
Wow.
And just showing how scared everybody was. My daddy needed a new handle for his saw, and he went in a hardware store and bought this handle, and he just had his hand in we went to the drugstore to buy something, and Daddy just had to put his hand up like that. The man threw his hands up there. He thought Dad was going to rob him. He thought he had a gun in his hands.
So it was that common for him to get robbed.
Right. It was just
Oh, my goodness.
everyday occurrence, you know.
Oh, my
that
goodness.
Everybody got robbed. But anyway, there's a little old boy there selling newspapers, and they had an extra out about these people being burned alive. They said, read all about it, read all about it. 3 men burned to death in 1922, 1922.
1922?
1922.
Let's see. How funny. That's funny. That's good.
You know, a funny little thing that happened. Another funny little thing that happened down there. Well, I was over at one of the neighbors' houses one night, and they had a little daughter just about my age, and there was not very many trees in that town, and they had a little small tree that the man had planted, and that girl gave me a nickel to chop that thing down. Got me an axe, and I chopped it down for a nickel.
Oh man, that's funny. Well, Floyd, there's a lot of people online on YouTube that every time we run one of your videos, they always say more Floyd, and a lot of them say give Uncle Floyd a hug, give Uncle Floyd a kiss, and a lot of them say, is it okay if we call him Uncle Floyd? Can he be my Uncle Floyd too? And I told him that everybody in this town calls you Uncle Floyd, so they might as well too.
Might as well. Everybody's okay to call me Uncle Floyd, I'll tell you that. Thanks a lot for watching Out on the Ranch with Dr. Lee and your Uncle Floyd.